this is a very small bass. But he ate a 20-year-old crankbait with the price tag still on it. It's just a young one. He's got a lot to learn. I only got a bite on switching up to a little crankbait. These little schoolers. Ooh, man, that was almost a hook in the hand. That would have been bad. Come here, you. Put on that little Rapala DT6, and it's the right size for these bait fish. They're just roaming around on this point. They're honestly not schooled up very much. They'll come up in like little droves, little wolf packs. And they seem to be suspending around 4 to 6 feet, even out in this 20 feet of water. Oh my gosh. I got a twofer. That's when you know you got the right thing on right there. That doesn't happen very often. Not very big though. We need like a 3 and a 5 pounder to do that. There's another one. Come here, just totally fat fish. These guys are just feeding up right now. There's another one. So summertime schoolers, guys. I'm on a lake right now that gets a lot of pressure, and you know, it can be tough to catch these fish. I just got one right there. You know, you think when they're schooling, they're just really easy, but actually, when they get a lot of pressure, they can be pretty difficult. And what I've found here today on these fish is that they want something finesse. They want a finesse crankbait. They don't want anything loud. If I had a lipless crankbait that didn't have any rattles, I think it would work really well. Unfortunately, I don't have one. But they're not responding to the loud rattling baits. There's another one right there. Oh, he came off. There we go. Finally got a better one here, guys. Yeah, that's a good one there. Oh yeah, that's a big one. Oh my gosh, I've got 2, and one's a big one. One's a big one. Oh my gosh, look at that, guys. Look at that. Wow. You know they want that crankbait when it's like that. All right, we got that guy right there. Gonna let him go. See ya. We still got this guy to unhook. Oh my gosh, they're coming up right behind me. There we go. All right. There's one little guy. Gotta weed through these little tots, these little tiny tots. I'm gonna try a new little schooling bait right here. A little Finesse glide bait. And it looks just absolutely perfect for these shad size. There's one. First cast with that little buster jerk. Looks like he ate it pretty decent. Got the front hook at least. Well, just lost my pliers. Just had one hit it again. There he is, got him. Oh yeah. Man, he hit it like a ton of bricks. Hit it like he was on a mission to Mars. I'm gonna try experimenting with one more thing. This is a little 3.8-inch Rhythm Wave. Put a 3/16 ounce little football jig head in there. Yeah, I got one on it, but it's a small one. He hit it on the way down. But gosh, he engulfed it. That's good. That's really good. That's a good sign right there. There's one. Little guy though. Dang it. Trying to escape these little peanuts here, but it's just hard. They're everywhere. All right, just getting off the water, and the schooling bass action was pretty good, but I wanted to give you some of the key schooling bass baits when they're being finicky, when they're being tough. We're entering into summer, we start seeing a lot of small schooling bass, and even the bigger bass will get tuned into like really specific stuff. And I think it's more important to focus on size rather than color. But here's some of the things that helped me catch bass today. I went through a lot of experimentation. So we'll start with crankbaits. Crankbaits are really good at catching schooling bass. You know, they'll get down to that certain depth of where they're at. It's important to watch your electronics, see where they're at. You know, if they're suspended, pick a crankbait out that hits them at that depth. You know, if they're on the bottom, you get you a deeper diving crankbait where you can get down there and dig on the bottom. But you know, they were kind of going in and out, 6 feet out to about 10 feet deep. So I was experimenting around with crankbaits. I tried a lot of different ones, but definitely what I noticed was the ones that didn't have rattles or had a very light finesse type rattle and a very tight wobble got the most bites. I went through a bunch of different ones. These two did the best. This is a Jackall Jaco. It dives about 6 feet deep, has a real tight wobble to it. It's actually marketed as a finesse style crankbait. This one, it's a Rapala DT 6. I mean, these are great bass catchers, but you know, the very light rattle in this one has a very light rattle. They both have tight wobbles, and they have a little bit different profile from each other, but the main thing is they got that real tight wiggle, and that was key. These other crankbaits that I threw, you know, like this Live Target and this Norman, pretty loud. This one's not as loud, but very loud. I was actually thinking this one was gonna get bit pretty good because it's that live bait ball, you know, and this was like the perfect size shad that they were chasing. I had a couple swipe it, but none of them really ate it. It was just, you know, it was too loud for them. It was too aggressive. This is my standby schooling bait right here when I can actually see fish coming up to the surface, boiling, coming up in little wolf packs. I like this little Rapala X Rap jerkbait, and it's a real erratic action. It stays pretty close to the surface, you know, only dives down to about 1.5 foot, maybe 2 feet max. And that gets those fish that are not coming all the way up to hit a top water. They'll come subsurface and grab this little guy. Didn't do as well on it as I thought I would today. I don't know why. Maybe it was too erratic. Maybe it was the rattles in it. Again, could be it was just a little too aggressive for him. But I experimented around with this bait. This is my first time throwing this bait, and I actually did pretty well with it. This is the Strike Pro Tiny Buster Jerk Junior. Yeah. Really cool little bone color right here. Pretty small little hooks on this guy, but basically it's just a glide bait. It's got a pretty decent sized weight up in the head, and it just does this in the water. And they like that action. You know, when they were coming up subsurface, when I was looking at those shad balls that were 2 to 4 feet down, I would throw this out there and I would just kind of straight reel it, maybe give it a pause to sink just a second. Doesn't have a split ring, tied a loop knot on it, but man, that's just a cool little schooling bait, and I'm excited to to fish this some more. It's going to be a good little summertime schooling bait. Now this is the other bait I threw, a 3.8 inch Jackall Rhythm Wave, this little pearl color on a 3/16 ounce open jig head. And I caught some bass swimming it. I caught some off the bottom. I was really trying to go for those bigger bass that were on the bottom that I kept seeing on the electronics. The problem that you have with these schooling bass, the little ones are so aggressive, they're at the surface, they're chasing shad, and then you get those bigger ones that they'll just kind of lazily sit close to the bottom and wait for, you know, a dead, dying shad that's been wounded already to just sink by them and grab it. And actually that double, one of the doubles I had today with the biggest bass, that's exactly what happened. I had a small one grab it, he took it down, and then that bigger lazy bass came over there and grabbed it. So but this is a cool bait. You can fish it at a lot of different depths. So schooling bass can be really finicky sometimes. They're a lot of fun to catch, but it's a challenge to catch those bigger bass. And usually what I like to do is carry me a little assortment of schooling baits in the summertime. And it's almost like just experimentation, trying to figure out the right shad size, the right color, the right action, exactly what they want. And then you can really dial it into a few key things, but it's a lot of experimentation when they're schooling usually, and also switching it up to keep catching bass after they've seen you throw that bait a number of times. So it's a good idea to keep a box full of different crankbaits and spoons and topwaters and everything like that that you might think you could catch some schooling bass on today. So I hope you learned something. Hope you catch some big schooling bass this summer, and I'll catch y'all later.